Welcome back. And so in part two of the program, we'll explore opposition party politics with particular interest in the electioneering process. And my guest today is no other than a former chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, Mr. Yabagi Sani. Mr. Sani, it's good to have you again on the program.
Bukola, it's really a pleasure to have me rather, and I thank you very much for having me.
Of course, this is a regular engagement between us that comes up time and again. But today, let's start differently. Your political career spans, back to the early 90s. You've been presidential candidate of the ADP in the 2019 election. You've been chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council. You've in fact also been hands-on in the formation of political parties, specifically the ANPP. Am I correct?
ANPP, or rather, yes, you are correct. You are correct.
So the question would now be, yes, as your party, shows up again as one of those asking to be trusted for the top job in the country, why should voters trust your administrative experience that translates to managing national security and state affairs? Specifically, why should Nigerians trust the ADP?
Yeah, well, governance is about knowledge. And if you have the president or a group that possess the knowledge that is required to run the affairs of the country, definitely the citizens will believe in the team. And this is what we are bringing to the table to steer the ship of Nigeria in the right direction. Because what has happened from what we have seen so far is that the act of governance has been left to a kind of experiment, and Nigeria cannot afford any experiment, with their lives and the future of the country. Because every day you hear of one program or the other and then the promise you hear is that, no, it will be okay after some years. After some years, after all of us are dead, or when are we really going to benefit from these experimental, programs that is coming from the present administration? One that has failed woefully is the issue of removal of subsidy, and also the unification of our currency, that is the exchange rate, which has not yielded the desired results. Because what is good, of a program is how it impacts positively on the life of the citizens. So this is why, and we believe that there is a very strong nexus between politics and the economy. So if you have a government that does not know how to run the economy of the country, then of course, the nationals become, are left in a wilderness, as to how they are going to fend for themselves, how they are going to even secure the future for the country and for themselves. And that's what we're experiencing. Because this Herculean task, these excruciating programs that have been brought on board to organize, or rather put our economy in the right frame, is not yielding the results that the nationals are looking for. So that is why we are saying that it's about time that Nigerians begin to look at other alternatives, and we are the credible alternative. The essence of governance is to impact positively on the lives of the citizens. That is not happening today. So what use is that government if you cannot improve the welfare of the people? You can't guarantee the security of lives and properties, and this is what is happening in Nigeria today, with a lot of shenanigans and rhetorics and things like that. Especially on the issue of security. It's something that we believe every Nigerian today is living in fear, and that is not what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be that we are guaranteed, our safety, our security. We are guaranteed, welfare, because we have enough. Like we all know, this country is a promise of greatness. We have what it takes to become great, which is national endowment. We have them in abundance. So this is why ADP government will definitely bring knowledge, and will put that knowledge at disposal of Nigerians, whereby it will impact on their lives, without, killing them in the first instance and say we'll resurrect you again.
I deliberately started that way because many have consistently, or time and again, more appropriately, criticized you for holding on strongly either to the position of national chairman of the ADP or to being its presidential candidate without room for, expression for other members of this political parties. They say you have held that position for as long as anyone can remember. Why are you holding on tightly, the ADP, to your apron strings, Mr. Sani?
No, aside from the fact that continuity in every aspect of life is something that is one of the fundamental requirements for, especially when it comes to issue of running the affairs of citizens in a government. Political parties, our party came on board in 2017. That 2017, we have a constitution which allows the caretaker committees to run the affairs, or the interim executive to run the affairs of the party for 4 years. And then after that, we now went for elective positions. Election, and then which means we had just 4 years, and then we are now running the last 4 years, which means the 8 years that's guaranteed in the constitution of the country. So people saying that holding to the aprons of the party without allowing others to come, that is not true. Nobody has stepped forward that they want to run for run the affairs of the party or to become the president of this country without we stopping the person from contesting. No, that is not the truth. The truth of the matter is that, like we politicians, some of them, they want to go to where the food is already ready, it's made. They don't want to labor. They don't want to sacrifice, to build, a strong party like what we're trying to do.
But Mr. Sani, some have criticized you again in the past, or have pointed out that what you do simply is to use the ADP as a negotiating tool for the highest bidder during electioneering season. At a particular time, some have said that you have covertly handed over the structure of the ADP to a presidential candidate of the PDP at that particular time. And basically, that's what you do with the ADP. Is that the case? Do you use the ADP as a negotiating tool during electioneering seasons?
No, it's a lame, what do you call it? It's just the usual blackmail that people, embark upon. When they cannot find any truth in any facts, on what they are saying, because there's no fact to that accusation that I've handed over to PDP. I can't. Who in PDP that we handed over our party to? No, we contested very, very effectively and vigorously to ensure that we win, the elections. If anything, ask any political actor in this country, they will tell you, we don't accept the issue of selling our party or even joining other parties if we do not believe that they share in the same philosophy, which we have, which is to provide Nigeria, like I said, with a leadership that has the education and then the experience and the exposure to lead the country in the right direction. I have not seen that in PDP or any other administration that has gone before this time, and even present administration that is going on to, we see that there's not anything that the nationals, the citizens, can take out of this government other than the suffering that Nigerians are going through. So past governments, PDP or whatever, none of them will tell you that they negotiated with us and we said, okay, we are going to allow you to win, or we are going to they sell our party, so that you can take advantage of what we have. That's never the case. And if anybody tells you that, ask him to give you the evidence. I'm not sure anybody can bring out any evidence, because for long, I mean, since I've been in politics, I've never sat down to anybody to shortchange.
So, Mr. Sani,
I mean, so that is not true.
So,
it's
Mr. Sani, as presidential
yes.
candidate of the ADP in the 2019 general election, you are telling us that you never covertly worked for the candidate of the PDP at the time, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. You never secretly worked for him.
Not at all.
Because they say that you know full well. They said that you know full well that you cannot win the election, but you just secretly work for bigger candidates, just to profit from the season. All right, so let's.
We never had a meeting with any one of them.
Okay.
Never, not even to sit down do anything. No.
Okay, let's make progress now.
That is not true at all.
Who is the presidential candidate of the ADP? Is it you or Ambassador Aliyu bin Abbas?
Ambassador Aliyu
bin Abbas. So this time around, you have decided to yield the floor for another, for fresh blood into the system.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's cheery to know. So talk to us about the candidacy of this individual and how why should Nigerians vote for Ambassador bin Abbas?
Well, Nigerians should vote for ADP because we crave for change, so that the country can now, like I said, be taken in the right direction to take advantage of those things that I said God has given to Nigeria in terms of natural endowment and even the people, which is the most precious asset that every country, relies upon, which is the human capital. And we have them in abundance. And it is time to also allow youth and women to come on board so that they can be given a seat at the table for them to be able to make their own contribution and see how we can take the country out of the woods, as far as administration is concerned. So this is what we are bringing to the table. And this is what we want to say to Nigerians, that it's about time that we infuse, like you rightly say, fresh blood, to advance, the course of administering this country, so that we can catch up or even surpass those that we started with long ago, in the 60s, like we had, I mean, if you look at countries like Malaysia, South Korea, those countries that today are described as developed countries or developing, we are still being regarded as a developing country or as a third world country. We shouldn't be so, given what we have. And the only way we can turn things around is when you allow new ideas to come into the system, so that Nigeria will become what it should be. That is a fast-growing economy that delivers for its nationals and citizens.
But
that's what we are here for.
In every race there are the contenders, and some would say the others are perhaps the pretenders. And in the 2027 race, the identifiable contenders are the ruling party, the ADC, and the new entry, the kid on the block, the NDC. And so immediately the classification for your party and the candidates will be, one of the pretenders in this race. So what is your strategy to show up as visible as possible in a race where there are already deciders who, in the parlance, would be the a three-horse race?
Well, what we have is, like you say, something new, something that I believe will excite Nigerians, something that I believe will show Nigerians that we are the credible alternative, because you cannot be doing the same thing the same way and expect different results. So this is why we need to change the strategy. We need to bring on board things that we know will give you that confidence and believe that, yes, maybe it's about the time we change our strategy. And the strategy is that you don't continue to believe in a group that has held back the country for as long as one can remember. All the teams you have mentioned, those you have mentioned, are the old people that were given opportunity before, but they couldn't really make anything meaningful for the people of this country by the opportunity given to them. So if you talk about those parties you mentioned, it's the ones that have failed us, woefully. So why should we continue in that direction? So this is why we need to now have a change of direction. We need to now bring in something that is different. And because we need to do something different. We can't go on just killing ourselves, suffering our people, giving empty promises, and then believe that that's how Nigeria can progress. No, Nigeria cannot progress like that. Other countries are not progressing like that. And like I said, we have what it takes in terms of the requirements, that is resources, human capital, and even the size of the country itself, and what we represent as a country in the global setting, economically, politically, socially. Nigeria is not, a laid-back country. We are supposed to be in the forefront as a country that is progressing and then is delivering, to the people of the country.
But these are lofty ideals.
Mandate given to the people.
But these are lofty ideals, yes. But the reality...
But they are realities, but they are...
And that's what I'm about to talk about. The reality is ahead of every presidential election, perhaps months to the election or a few weeks to the election, we always see political parties emerging, the smaller ones now, collapsing their structure and supporting the presidential candidate of the ruling party. We've seen it time and again in every electioneering cycle.
But
so regardless of what
ADP.
You're telling us now, will the ADP not do the same months to the election?
No, we never did it before, and we're not going to do it because we know that we know what we represent. If we say we're the credible alternative, why should we join other parties that we know have failed the country, and with evidence that empirical, evidence that they have failed the country woefully. So why should we join them? For what reasons? There's no reason. There's no impetus for us to join them. So this is why I'm saying that what ADP represents is that alternative that is required for this country to move forward. It's not, and we have never, if you check our history, not the hearsay. I'm talking about maybe pronouncements from me as national chairman or president of the presidential candidate of the party. We have never, said that we are going to support, another party that we know, cannot deliver. No, we have never done it. And we're not going to do it because we know that this country deserves better than what we're being dished out to the country. And then you can see the kind of politics we are playing in this country. That even the ruling party is playing, which is to the detriment of the democracy itself in this country. Because a situation where you gravitate towards one party system does not in any way support that promise of greatness that this country deserves, that it is. So this is why we are saying that we cannot be part of the crowd that you are talking about. Those who and then when you look at also even the kind of anti-democratic steps, moves by the administration, it doesn't say much of good, Democrats or people that believe in democracy. That is not what we are seeing. When courts are being used, institutions are being used to manipulate the process so that other parties cannot, have a breathing space for them to give their best, for the benefits of this country. That is not what democracy is all about. What we are having today is not democracy. What we are having is a situation where a few people came together and then a kind of oligarchy or something like that.
Again, Mr. Sani,
manipulate the system.
You have taken us back yet again. You're criticizing what you term the oligarchy and a gradual gravitation to a one-party state. But you have been national chairman of the ADP for about 9 years. Am I correct?
From 2017, yes.
So you very much look like what you're criticizing.
No, not at all. I told you that, nobody has stepped forward that they want to be the national chairman of this party and we say no, or want to be the presidential candidate of this party and we say no. No. And we cannot just allow the party to be there without having a very strong, presence.
But the evidence of success,
in the country.
But the evidence of success is the ability to reproduce itself. So why has your party not gone shopping or groomed ideal successors to fill that position? What about the other board members of the ADP? Do they not qualify to be chairpersons of the party?
They qualify, of course. That's why they're in the party.
So why don't you yield ground? Why don't you yield ground for someone else to take leadership of the ADP?
No, like you see now, we have yielded the ground for somebody to run as the presidential candidate of the party, and we're also ready to yield the ground if we have somebody who's competent enough and can, meet our set objectives for Nigeria. We will give in the party, of course. Don't forget that I formed this party alongside other individuals who were passionate about giving this country the kind of leadership that it deserves. So it's a legacy that one would like to leave, that we have put something in place which is delivering to the benefit of the country, and it's growing. That's what you want. Growth is what everybody is looking for, and the legacy that you want to leave behind is something that can even be long after you are gone, is still there, and then growing. So that's why we are trying to put in place those requirements.
So in a democracy,
the elements.
In a democracy like Nigeria, where the population, particularly the youth who dominate about 60% of the population, are yearning for change, you want Nigerians to accept that for 9 years you have been unable to groom an ideal successor to take up position as national leader of the ADP after you. In 9 years, you have been unable to produce a successor.
Yeah, you see, you have to understand the mindset of Nigerians, especially we politicians. Nobody wants to sacrifice anything. They don't want to sacrifice and then benefit from it. If you ask them to come to the party, they will say, no, it's a new party, it's growing, we want to wait until when it has grown and then big, and then we can announce. So nobody wants to make that sacrifice which we are making, which I am making also. So it isn't that it's something that is very easy to do, believe you me. We have tried by all means to attract people to come, but they like to go to the parties that are in power or parties that can give them contracts or give them positions and things like that. They don't want to work to build, for tomorrow, and that's what we are doing. So that's why you don't find them coming in the way that they are killing themselves in PDP or APC or ADC, as the case may be, and others that you see today.
Mr. Sani, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm not mistaken, prior to Ambassador Aliyu bin Abbas's emergence as a presidential candidate of your party, you had declared interest in the race, right?
Prior to that?
Yes.
No. I said after the last outing, I said that this time around we are going to give somebody, a chance. That was from the beginning. That's what.
All right. Thank you for that clarification.
Right from the word go.
I could have sworn that I read somewhere that you were emerging as the presidential candidate of the ADP yet again for the 2027 elections. But let's make progress and explore other.
Whoever tells you that is lying.
Let's make progress now and explore other subjects. You have often expressed skepticism about the independence of the Independent National Electoral Commission because its finances come from the federal government, and much of its appointments are often criticized as members of the ruling party itself. What constitutional reforms would you be proposing to guarantee true independence of the electoral umpire?
Well, it's obvious that you cannot, you cannot have an independent body, where the person that appoints, the officers that run that body, to be the person that is also contesting elections in the case of INEC, like you are saying. So we believe that if we want to have a truly independent, INEC, as the case may be, we need to divorce it. That is, disconnect it from the office of the president, because the president, often than not, is also a candidate in the elections. And you now say INEC should now, should supervise and then be fair to everybody. It's not possible. So this is why we are saying that either we have a system where stakeholders come together to now, appoint or nominate somebody that National Assembly will ratify. Not one person who is also an interested party to do that. So we are looking for a situation where we can come up with a stakeholder committee of stakeholders who will now say, okay, let this person be through some process, like people can write that I want to be the chairman of INEC, and then you check their credentials and see if they can really, function, and they can do that job, and then the stakeholders now will come together and then maybe recommend somebody to the National Assembly for their own for ratification. So that's the kind of thing that I think will give the kind of independence required, for INEC. And it's not only INEC. If you see the situation we have, all the institutions that are supposed to supervise, the election process are all appointed by Mr. President. So it's a situation that is a fait accompli by the time you are even starting the elections themselves. So this is why we want to have a change, the constitutional amendment that will guarantee that independence, not the one we have now, which we all know cannot guarantee the kind of independence we are looking for. So that's what we have been asking the National Assembly to do. But take for instance, even where the Constitution says that INEC should have autonomy as far as their finances are concerned, it's not allowed to have that autonomy. Still the budget of INEC goes to Mr. President. It is treated as if it's the budget of one of the presidents or ministry or something like. It shouldn't be so. It should be that you should have the first charge, line charge, like it's recommended, that is in the Constitution, so that you take it from the consolidated revenue, where money is given to INEC to run their affairs. But today, what do you see happening? INEC has to go cap in hand, to the government to give them money before they can run even the basic, responsibilities that is given to INEC. So that is not good enough. That does not talk about independence. Like the saying goes, he who pays the piper dictates the tune. And this is what we are trying to avoid. So it's a situation that is long overdue for National Assembly to do the needful, so that we can now have a situation where this country can progress and then, achieve that greatness, like I said, this country. Because recruitment of leadership to run the affairs of the country is very, very important. And the only process where we recruit leadership is through elections. And if these elections is already manipulated, is in the hands of one person, how do you guarantee that you are going to get people that will deliver, for the people of this country when they are given the opportunity? So this is the point we are making.
Yeah, Mr. Yabagi Sani, your party, the African Democratic Party, has our best wishes. Action Democratic Party has our best wishes as it enters the 2027 presidential election, and hopefully by some miracle it emerges victorious. We hope that these recommendations and these reforms that you're proposing will become a reality. Thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you, Bukola, for having me.
Mr. Yabagi Sani is the national chairman of the Action Democratic Party and a former presidential candidate of the party in the 2019 election. Thank you for your time. And that sums it up on the program for today. We'll be back again same time next week with another edition of the program, Political Paradigm. I am Bukola Koka, standing in for your regular anchor, Terry Ikumi. Bye for now.